Jermaine Farrell in the house. It is the Hardee's Friday Night Blitz Media Days. We're going to focus on the crew from Forest, the Jefferson Forest Cavaliers, JF, if you will, and joining right now in his 5th year with the Cavaliers is, of course, JT Cruz. Coach Cruz, thank you for being here, sir.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Awesome.
Glad to be here.
Well, last year you went 9-3, and you lost in the Region 40 semifinals. So the second straight year you lost in the second round. And just hearing some of your players talk about that. But overall, I mean, still a big-time season, 19 wins in 2 years. But obviously, I'm sure you guys want more. But just talk about that overall and how that leads to this year.
Yeah, you know, 2 years ago we had the 10-win season, and I think we kind of showed that we were here. We were ready to be competitive at a really, really high level. And then going into last year, I think kind of the theme was we had to prove that it wasn't just a one-year thing, right? That we were here to stay. And for the most part, I think we did that. Like you said, tough loss in the second round against a really, really good Sharando football team. And I think kind of the goal for this year, the theme for the season is we got to take that next step, right? The past 2 years, we've made it to the second round of the playoffs, and both years have had a tough loss. And so this year, it's about finding a way to kind of get over that hump and take the next step as a program.
You know, you mentioned that. I mean, we were talking before the show. I mean, these 2 big winning seasons, you of course had to take yourself out of the hole.
Yeah.
But it's paying off now in your 5th year. It seems like this program is really getting steam and momentum. How big is it to see how you've kind of rebuilt JF into a strong, reputable program? Yeah,
it's really cool, and you know, I think the biggest difference between the first 2 years and then these past 2 years and going into this season is the guys they've been with us the whole way, right? That first senior class that I had, and even the year after that, it was guys that'd gone through a lot of coaching changes and things over the years, and so the goal for us early on was getting that culture established, and I feel like we've got a pretty good handle on that at this point. Guys know what to expect. They know what we ask of them, and we ask a lot of them, you know. One of our guys was just talking in the interview there. We've been going since January, right? And that's the expectation for those guys now, and they're ready for that, and they buy into it. And I think it's had a big part in our success, and now it's just understanding that all that work that we've put in, we got to put in even more at this point to find a way to take that next step to play for a regional championship, to win a regional championship. You know, that's the goal for us this year.
You know, you look at, you know, your schedule over. I mean, you start off the season at home against Gretna. But if you could talk about your non-district schedule, because you got some pretty tall timber on your non-district.
Yeah, you know, so Gretna is always, it's one of those games going into it where it's been a tough matchup for us pretty much every year. You know, they got us my first year at JF. Second year, we were fortunate to win there. Third year, it was back and forth the whole game. I think we had to put a drive together late to win it. And then last year, you kind of look at the score and you think, oh, maybe not quite so close. But then you go back and you look at that game, and it's late in the third, early in the fourth, where it's still back and forth. And so it's a really, really good test for us early on, and then moving into week 2 against Stanton River and, you know, county rivalry, right? It's going to be intense, and again, every year they play us tough. Again, same deal last year. I think we had to put a drive together late to find a way to win that one, and then week 3 this year, we're going to hop on the bus and go down to North Carolina and play Mount Airy, who has been a very, very traditionally successful program in North Carolina. So excited to kind of get, you know, see what ball is about down there and find their top level competition in North Carolina. So it's a tough sled for us those first 3 weeks in the non-district, and then, you know, once you hit the Seminole, man, it don't get any easier.
Which is interesting. You know, I talk with, you know, a lot of the coaches in the Seminole. The Seminole's tough enough, but then obviously a lot of schools in the Seminole, they have challenged themselves in a tough non-district, and your team's no exception. Yeah. So it's kind of neat to see, you know, the Seminole as a whole, because it's a district. They're the only one in the state that can say we all have a state champion. But at the end of the day, if you could talk a little bit about some of the players you got coming back, some of the key players you feel will help you guys succeed.
Yeah, and we're bringing a lot back, honestly. Some guys that have played a lot of football for us, starting with Slade Keesee. You know, he's a guy who feels like he's been here forever, right? This will be his 4th year on varsity. He's the Defensive Player of the Year in the Seminole last year, and had a huge impact for us on defense, and looking for him to take a bigger role for us on offense this year. Opposite him at defensive end is Spencer Sloan. Sliding into his first year starting on defense, started for us last year on offense, but bringing a ton of experience there. Excited for, you know, experience for us as our wing players on offense, Thax Rowland, Luke Johnson, Gabe Barnett, Xander Coleman, Chris Reed, guys that played a lot for us last year, coming back, bringing a lot of experience. I mean, just across the board, we're bringing back a lot of starters. I'd say, honestly, the biggest question for us to answer is what we're going to look like up front on the offensive line. Graduated 5 guys there that are all really, really good football players. But really excited about the guys that we're bringing up. Our JV team was undefeated last year, and all of those guys that started all those games for them, they're coming up. And so I'm excited to see kind of the competition there to see who's going to establish some of those spots up front.
How much fun are you having getting ready for another season? Because obviously it's still a year-round thing. Over the last few years of going year-round. But obviously when you're knocking on the door of that first fall practice, and you're knocking on the door of scrimmages, and you're knocking on the door of the first game, it's really got to amp you up.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, we talk about it with the team, right? So early on in January, it's all about the weight room, right? It's about getting in there and putting the work necessary to get yourself bigger and stronger and make yourself a better player than you were last year. And then as you get closer, you start to move into June, July, it starts to transition where it's not so much about the weight room, although it's still important this time of year. It starts to become more and more about football. You get on the field, you start doing some football stuff, start installing the offense and the defense, and that's the fun part, right? That's where you get to see all that work that you put in, since January in the weight room starts to translate onto the field. And then when you put the pads on in August, like it's guys that they were juniors last year, right? And good players, all of a sudden they've had a whole offseason in the weight room, and they're different guys, when they put the pads on again for their senior year. And so it's really, really cool to see that, the growth in those guys, especially when you're in a situation where I'm at now where, I've seen these guys since they were 8th graders. And so the growth that I've been able to see in a kid who, since the end of his 8th grade football season, has been working hard and in the weight room and grinding, a guy like Pierson Brooks, who is as dedicated as anybody in the program, right? Since that guy's 8th grade football year, every offseason he's come in the weight room and he's worked his butt off. And so to see kind of the culmination of that as that guy's going into his senior year and is primed for a really, really big senior season, it's just like it's like Christmas, man. I get to see all these kids go out there and see how they've grown as players and what they're capable of doing.
So at the end of the day, Coach Cruz, what do you feel is going to take for you? You mentioned getting over the hump.
Yeah.
I mean, again, your last 2 years have been successful. Anyone would take 19 wins over a 2-year span. But what do you feel is going to take for you guys to get to that next level that you would like to get to?
I think it is the understanding, we have had successful years the past 2 years. That isn't worth anything going into this fall, right? It's a new team, it's a new season, and so we have to understand that while we expect to win every game, we have got to put the work in to win every game. And that's everybody on the roster, every single player out there, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We got to put the work in then. And then when Friday comes around, we got to stay focused, we got to stay in tune. Whatever adversity comes our way, we got to find a way to fight through that and get out there and win the game.
Good deal. Well, Coach, it's always a joy to see you in your 5th year.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the Cavs.
It's flown by, man.
JF is kind of my favorite initials.
There we go. Yeah.
But the Cavaliers, they will open up the season again on August 29th. They host Gretna in a big-time game there as Coach Cruz, as well as Jefferson Forest, getting ready for the 2025 season with the Hardee's Friday Night Blitz Media Days.
Pierson Brooks.
Yeah, Mr. Brooks. All right. What is your position? Middle linebacker, wide receiver, right?
Yep, middle linebacker. You already know it.
Okay. And what year in school are you?
Senior.
Yeah, there we go. All right, well, Mr. Brooks.
By the way, no pressure.
Oh, Jesus.
Your coach is here. Coach Cruz is here, so no pressure.
Oh, man. He did.
Some of us, we.
Yeah.
That's like, I gotta keep what I got. That's the important.
It's all good. All right. Well, Mr. Brooks, first, talk to me, man. How's it feel to be back?
Man, I'm excited, man. I've been waiting since last season ended. Like, I look forward to football season every year. It's almost time to get started. We've been going since January, so I'm so ready for August.
What are some of the things you learned last season that you're looking to apply to this year?
So, last season being my first year, starting almost the whole year on varsity, I learned a lot. It's a whole nother ballgame, especially the teams that we played. We play in the Seminole District, obviously. That's competition every single week. Whether you got to go on the road, play it at home, you're going to see a good playoff level team every single week, and that gets you ready for when you go to the playoffs and see these experienced, well-tested teams.
And last year didn't necessarily work out against Orlando, sadly, but how do you kind of use that as a jumping point for this season?
Yeah, that Sharando game was tough because we went out there and we fully expect to win. Like every other game, we fully expect to win. But I think going into this year, you can say the same thing about last year's team. We're still using that pain that we lost in the second round, even the year before last. But all the seniors, all the bonds that we had with those guys, I look to kind of channel that pain and everything we went through at the end of last season. I mean, that's a long ride back that we had to sit, 3-hour bus ride after taking a second round playoff loss again. So we look to use a lot of that momentum and carry us into this season.
I mean, one of the senior leaders on this team, but you were also a leader last year too. You
Right.
know what I mean, so I'm like,
Yes, sir.
so I guess how do you kind of be an extension of Coach Cruz? I mean, I know Coach Cruz is out there, he's doing what he got to do for you guys, but how do you kind of affect the locker room with your man's over there?
Yeah, I mean, we try and run a tight ship. We got some younger guys coming up that may not have, JV. They had a great season last year, but keeping those guys, keeping their heads straight and making sure they realize, this isn't going to be easy. I mean, they went undefeated last year, but we gotta keep that success going and keeping those guys and even the guys that were with us last year that may not have played as much. Make sure they got to realize that it's time to step up. They're all going to start. Like a lot of those guys are going to start, get quality time playing. So just keeping everybody focused on that goal of making it as far as we possibly can and playing as many games as possible.
And since you're now in this not necessarily a new role in terms of leadership, but in terms of a senior, what have you learned from some guys with the number 19 on them, Mr. Marsteller? What did you learn from some of those guys? You guys have that QB sling at large.
Man,
what have you learned, and what have you taken from some of those older cats, and how do you kind of look to shape yourself in this position that you're in now?
Yeah, I mean, we've had some great leaders. I mean, absolutely. I mean, awesome football players, but also awesome people off the field. Like you said, Joe Bell, Alex Marsteller, you got your Luke Calkinses, everybody that Brighton Witt. I mean, all guys that have gone on, and both those guys still playing football right now. So, I mean, those guys are great leaders. I mean, and I look to model myself, especially off of those guys, because they, not only on the field, because they were great leaders on the field, but they're great people, like off the field. You get to know those guys, build bonds with them, you want to strive to be more like them. So, absolutely, getting to know those guys over the past few years has really, really shaped my output on, being a leader and taking control over situations.
I mean, what was it, 9-3 last year? But the thing is, it's like, do you enter this year with a little bit of a chip on your shoulder? I know you said you're looking to channel that pain, but I mean, from what you guys were able to accomplish last year with the juniors leadership that you guys had,
right.
What is your expectation, starting this kicking this thing off?
Right. I mean, yeah, 9-3. That's good, but we have to keep raising the bar. Like, we can't get complacent. We've been going since January, trying to keep raising the bar. Slowly, we went through a rough patch. JF did. Not playoff success wasn't there, and then we made the playoffs. Went up to Louisa my freshman season. Not a lot of success there. We weren't ready for that quite yet. The next year, second round of the playoffs. That was a great start. And even this year, second round of the playoffs, we got even closer. So I mean, we want to improve that record, but we got to take it game by game because we played way too many good teams to think, all right, we got to do better. 9-3. We got to be 1-0 this week, 2-0 the next week, 3-0, so on all the way. And then you get to the playoffs, and it's like, all right, win or lose, got to win.
And just in terms of Coach Cruz, I know he's not here, but I know he's over doing his thing. But Coach Cruz, what does he mean to you? You've been with him for a minute. I remember when he got over there a minute ago.
Absolutely.
So I mean, and not only that, that's a Seminole guy.
Right.
So he knows
Absolutely.
what this is all about. And the fact that you've had him as head coach for a few seasons. I mean, what is it like having him as a head coach?
Coach Cruz, he's awesome, man. I mean, that goes for the entire coaching staff as a whole. I mean, every single one of our coaches, you can ask them. You got a question, ask any. I mean, it doesn't even have to relate to football. Like, Coach Cruz, awesome coach on the field, great guy off the field as well. I mean, you can talk to that guy about anything. And that's every single coach. I mean, Coach Cruz in the school throughout the year as well. Coach Harlow also in the school. Coach Burford. They're all in the school. Coach Young, they're in the school. But even the guys who are working during the day, like you could text them out of the blue, and anything you need, they're there for you. We have one of the best coaching staffs in the state, personally and on the field coaching.
And I got to ask you, in terms of your fans. I mean, I know when they're down in the fishbowl, man, it's a different feeling. I mean, when I'm down there on the field, it's always different.
Absolutely.
I'm also worried that I'm going to probably trip and somebody's going to come into me and I'm going to fall in a little sand pit. But that hasn't happened yet. So, but no, what has that kind of been like?
Absolutely.
I mean, they show out for you.
No, we have some of the best fans. I truly believe, and we've always JF has even when we weren't the most successful. Like when I was growing up, we were solid. Coach Christmas being there, they had great teams. Fans were always there, packing. You got that big hill going into the stadium, always lined up. Even at kickoff, you still see 100 people waiting to get into the games. So that's awesome. And our turnout for away games is almost just as good as home games. Like we have great home attendance, but away game, like we go all the way out to Amherst during the regular season, we'll still have a solid amount of fans in the stands just to watch us play. So, we got great fans. Student section always full. The stands are full. You got the hill. Just great fans all around.
Cool beans. Do you got anything else for me, Mr. Brooks?
I don't guess so. It was good.
Boom. I
All right.
appreciate you, buddy.
Slade Keesee.
Okay, spell it out.
SladeKeeSee.
Okay, high school and position.
Jefferson Forest, defensive end.
Alrighty. Okay. Welcome back.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Senior year, how you feeling? What's the expectations looking like for the upcoming season for you guys?
I'm really excited for this year. I think it's going to be a great year for us. We've been working in the weight room this whole off season and running and conditioning, and I think it's going to be a great year for us.
What's the excitement like? Now you're in that role of being a senior and
Yes, ma'am.
being one of those leaders that coach can go down to, be like, hey, make sure they're on the right page.
For sure.
What's it like having that, going into the unexpected, but kind of having an expectation?
Yeah, so I think that I'm really excited for it, for sure. Being on varsity for the past couple years, it's just it really gives me the experience to lead these younger guys and to being able to play varsity as well. And I think everybody's excited for this year. I think we're going to have a great year, and we've been working really hard for it, and we're ready just for the first game to get started.
All right, last year y'all had a good year as well, 9-3. Talk to me a little bit about those 3 losses. Obviously, a lot of people don't count them as losses; they count them as lessons.
Gotcha.
Would you say that's
Yeah.
something y'all did, especially with those 3 y'all had?
For sure. We lost to Heritage, was our first loss, and that one hurt. We expected to win it. They're a really, really good football team, and we came in there, expecting to win. We knew it was going to be a tough night and ended up not getting the W. So I think it kind of taught us that, we need to keep working. We're not the best. Like we gotta keep getting on track and getting better each week and not, going backwards. So yeah, and then we lost to LCA obviously, and they're really, really good. They're a really good ball club. They ended up winning the state championship obviously. So, they're really good. We knew it was going to be a tough night. Ended up not getting the W again. So yeah, and then Sharando is a tough one. Last playoffs and everything like that. It kind of hurt, but want to bounce back this year for sure. Yes, ma'am.
And getting into playoffs, that's still a big deal.
For sure.
To be able to kind of go that far. What was taught to you as a player, especially going into this senior year? Obviously, that's definitely something you want to get back to.
For sure. Yeah. So we've been stopped the last 2 years in the second round, and it's really our goal to get past the second round for sure. So this year we're working harder. We know what we need to work on. It's the little things for sure. We just need to work on the little things to get past the second round.
You get to put that jersey on one last time.
I know. Yes, ma'am.
Has it set in? Is it kind of?
Not yet. Not yet. I don't really want it to set in, but I just want to enjoy this last year and get as many wins as we can. So.
How important has it been for you to kind of be able to represent, being a Cavaliers, being a part of JF? Like, what's it like, especially on the community aspect of it?
It's definitely some pride you take in it being at Jefferson Forest. It's something that you're proud of, and it's something that I always remember being at Jefferson Forest playing football. So it brings a lot of memories, and definitely around locally, it means a lot. So yes, ma'am.